Hello everyone, welcome to another great adventure over here on RJB Wildlife. On this adventure, we are here at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, where I'm going to be giving you the State of the Park update. So if you're ready for another great adventure, let's go. I want to start this update off with a little bit of a conversation surrounding the hours at the Safari Park, both for this time of year and the summer. Unlike previous years, the San Diego Zoo Safari Park's hours are going to be the same as it was in January and February, which is the 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. However, in the summer, they're going to be opening the park up at 8 and operations will be shutting down here at 4 p.m. I've been told that is due to some of the heat and the weather, but it is my firm belief that this has everything to do with the Elephant Valley viewing experience right now, simply due to the staffing that is required to bring guests down to that area. So hopefully that is just a this year thing. So we're now over here in Safari Base Camp. This is going to be the first area that you walk into as you enter the park, and there's a couple things of note going on in this area. There is a new dwarf mongoose sign next to that habitat, and then across from them is going to be a brand new pair of bat-eared foxes that have been spending a lot of time together recently and are a breeding pair. So hopefully in the future, we'll be able to get some bat-eared fox kits. And recently, Max, the salmon-crested cockatoo, has been spending some time up front greeting guests as you enter the park. So a couple really cool things going on in Safari Base Camp to make this park come alive a little bit. Over here in Nairobi Village, the only real update that I have is that the waterfowl are starting to return to the lagoons. This is all starting off with some of the pelicans, the pink-backed, and the Dalmatians. I do expect in the future that the Egyptian swans and the geese, the Orinoco geese, are going to make their way back into these lagoons as well. Those birds did have a tendency to free roam the area, however, considering this isn't exactly an enclosed space. So when you're walking the paths by Oasis on the Rocks and Mombasa Cooker, make sure you're aware that there might be a flock of swans or geese in your general vicinity. So a fun little thing going on at the Safari Park right now is going to be the Butterfly Jungle. This is going to be a paid experience in which you can go in for about $18 and spend about 20 minutes with a nectar tube with a little fake flower on it. Now, unfortunately, this is the only thing going on at this time of year, as years prior to this, there was the Spring Safari event. That was discontinued for this year, and it's a little bit unfortunate because the event itself was a lot of fun. However, you're still able to do the Butterfly Jungle. Now, this experience goes until April 20th, so if you're at the park during that time and are interested, be sure to check it out. It is worthwhile, and it's a little 20 minutes in the Hidden Jungle Aviary with a whole bunch of butterflies. So we are now over here in Tiger Trail, and the big update here is the fact that Barong, the newest male cub here, has been out on habitat for quite some time after a 3-month stint being off due to an injury to his paw. Now, he injured himself being his little rambunctious, playful self and running around and having fun. He actually fell off the big log structure that's in his habitat, and I believe had a little bit of a tendon injury. However, he is healed, he is perfectly healthy. Now, Barong is much larger than he was when he was initially a cub, and it's a little sad because cats grow really fast, and they can get to an adult size in about a year plus or so. So now that he's getting a bit bigger, he's about half the size of Mom. So we are now over here at Lion Camp, and we're over here for one primary reason, and that is Bo. Bo has been spending a lot more time out and has been getting a little more comfortable with some of the crowds around here. I would say if you really want to see him, come around the hours of 11 to 12:30. That is also dependent on if he is out on habitat for that specific day. Right now it is the 3 females. And from what I understand going on behind the scenes with these 4 lions is they are starting to get a little bit more accustomed with each other. I have observed in my trips that when Bo starts roaring out here, the females will follow suit inside. Within lion society, you're gonna have that big main male that is gonna start all the roaring, announce the territory, kind of proclaim that this is his area, and the females more often than not will follow suit in that. So it's a really encouraging sign that that's going on here. However, we still have a ways to go until all 4 lions can be housed together. I want to add a new thing to these updates as we kind of traverse the park and kind of show you everything that's going on that's fairly new, and that is going to be the Africa Tram. Now, the Africa Tram is cool because it can take you around areas and show you things that you don't get to see otherwise because there's no actual pathways to get down to those. So a couple little observations from the tram. The sable antelope, they are getting along really well. The male, in fact, has had a couple interactions with females, so hopefully we'll have some calves here in the near future. There is a new habitat for rupels and Griffin's vultures that they have put right next to the South Africa yard in a former little bird marsh. The old vulture habitat that had the lappet face and some in the assortment is currently being worked on, and in fact there is some new fencing being installed right along the tram route. There is a new eastern bongo calf in the Central African Forest yard. That's the yard at the very middle portion of the tram on the top of that hill that overlooks the main savanna yards into the valley. So if you're lucky, you'll have a chance, but very seldomly seen. I've only ever seen the bongo on the tram once. And on this tram ride, it was confirmed that the two Somali wild ass foals are in fact colts. So we do have two little boys out there, which is really good for the species. This species has only about 200 individuals left in the wild, so the more males you have for genetic lines, the better off you are. If you visited the safari park over the course of the last month and a half, you will have noticed that in the East Africa yard, there is a pretty big absence that has not really been seen, and that is the fact that the giraffes are actually off habitat, and this was due to a medical situation that required a quarantine. However, I was told that got resolved pretty quickly, and they're still behind the scenes. The reason for this is because they are also due for hoof trims, and it doesn't exactly make sense to release them into the fields, re-corral them, and then do the hoof trims at a later time. If you have them back there, just take care of it so that you don't have to worry about it again, and it causes less stress on the animals. We are now down here in the African Woods section of the park, and the biggest update that has occurred here is the fact that the Egyptian vultures have returned to their habitat after the few-month period with the avian influenza in the area. These birds are somewhat unique. They have a little yellow bald head, but they're primarily going to be egg eaters. So really cool species to have on display here at the park, and it's really awesome to have them back, especially since when they're in this habitat, you can kind of get a great shot of the kudu in the background. That's going to do it for today. If you had fun on this journey, please hit the like button. And if you would like to embark on future adventures, please consider subscribing and ringing that notification bell. And until next time, I hope to see you all again on the next adventure on RJB Wildlife.